A lot of very wise people talk about looking inside of yourself, and it's a trope that you see in a lot of movies and TV shows. But what does it actually mean? And why is it so universally adopted by so many different wisdom traditions? So what's going to happen if I look inside of myself, and why should we look inside ourselves? Well, it's very simple. Have you ever tried to solve one of your problems by going on Google and searching for the answer? Now, I've gone on Google and solved very practical issues like how to repair my desk or how to repair a bathroom, a small bathroom issue. But when I've gone onto Google to search about what I should do with my life, I never get an answer. I never get a good answer. In fact, if I look for relationship advice or career advice or any sort of advice on Google or on YouTube, I never get any good advice. In fact, I might get some rings of truth, but it always ends up me feeling quite hopeless, and I don't feel like I get any closer to really getting a satisfying answer. And perhaps have you tried to motivate yourself by watching inspirational videos or motivational videos or various sort of material that is designed to stimulate you from the outside in? Here's the thing, when it comes to those big questions within yourself, it cannot be answered outside of you. There are some questions in life that you need to dig within yourself to find the answer to. So if it is a question that you cannot easily Google, that doesn't have a one size fit all answer, then you need to look inside of you. And looking inside of you can come in many different forms. It can be journaling, because journaling is kind of taking out and extracting what is inside of you. It's like taking a string of thought and pulling on it, pulling on it, and pulling on it until you get an answer or trigger an answer. Or you could ask yourself questions. Have you ever asked yourself a question? You can actually send a question to yourself like ChatGPT, and eventually your mind will come up with an answer. And if you stay on a question and you're not satisfied with a particular answer, you can keep asking and thinking until you get a brand new answer. And so to look inside yourself means to actually stop triggering your mind with all this input. Actually take all the input away. And the only input is your inquiry. You actually look inside of yourself and you start asking yourself questions, really important questions about life. There's many questions that you can ask, like, first and foremost, what do I actually want to do with my life? What do I love the most? What's the most important thing about my life? What do I find most important? And so as you're asking these questions and looking within, that's the process of looking within. You ask a question which directs your focus to inside of you. And inside of you, if you put your attention inside of you in this really kind of beautiful way, it will trigger responses. It will start growing seeds of insight. And so you can ask yourself anything. And here's the thing, here's the most beautiful thing. The answer will always come from within. And once you get the answer from within, it's like an insight, a direction, a piece of self-knowledge. You can follow it and it will sustain you because it came from inside of you. It came from what is true inside of you versus what's outside of you and trying to inseminate you. See, everything out there is trying to program you. It's trying to, society and the world is trying to put you on a particular agenda. And if you go ahead and live on that agenda, you aren't going to be satisfied because it's not you. That's not you. That agenda is not you. Really, what is inside of you is the true you. What your own thoughts are and what your connection with your mind is, that's the truest part of you. That's your authentic self. And the more that you have contact and spend time with that, the closer you'll get to truth. And so for a Christian or someone of faith, you actually want to spend this time in prayer. Looking inside of you is very much similar to praying. And prayer is like this combustion. Every time you spend time in prayer, everything inside of you becomes more flammable. Anything can burn up and anything can be planted as well. Prayer is this really fertile ground of silence and receptivity. And you can also send things out into prayer, into God, and you can receive your answer and thank God for your answer. And you can be in communion with yourself and with God and with Jesus and with the Holy Spirit. It's all interrelational and it requires you looking there. So one of the evils of social media and being on your phone all the time isn't that it's necessarily evil. It's just that the information that you're receiving isn't meant for you. It's just generalized or coming from someone else's mind. Really, the best information that you can receive is the one that comes from God. Now, if you go to God and you ask for some answers, or you go within your mind and you start reflecting on things, you can then go out into the world and read things and look at things from a different perspective because you have set the frame of the question and you've looked inside of yourself. God will bring you the answer through someone else speaking to you or through something else happening in life. So then you can come at life with a receptiveness, with an openness to whatever God is bringing you, whatever life has to offer to you, and you can receive it and you can let it change you and transform you. The important thing is that you don't keep it shallow at that shallow level, because the shallow is not powerful enough. It's not sustainable enough. It will, at the first sign of difficulty, you'll get some wind and it will blow that little weed out of your soil. But if it's something that's deep and inseminated within your heart and your mind and your soul, and it's something that's real, then it's going to take lift off. So that's why you should always look inside of you. And if you spent double, triple, quadruple the amount of time inside and looking inside of you and developing an interior life and a prayer life and really reflecting, contemplating, meditating, then you'd live a more peaceful and beautiful life. And everything that you see and receive and see around you becomes more beautiful, because whatever is outside of you and the beauty of it is really determined by how beautiful your mind is. If you have a beautiful mind and a peaceful mind and a grateful mind, you can take anything outside of you, any sort of external circumstances, and it will become beautiful and you will love it, and you will transform those external circumstances into beautiful things, because your inner life and your prayer life and your connection to God and your wisdom, it determines the quality of your life. It's so important. It's critical to be working on that. So that's why I believe you should look inside of you. God bless, and wishing you all the best, and go ahead and look inside of you.